I'm Alex Johnson, and I want to share my story with you. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. Life was never easy for my family, but we had each other, which was important. From an early age, I always felt a little different. My friends excelled in sports, while I was just trying to keep up. My biggest challenge came when I decided to join the local soccer team in high school. I thought that if I worked hard enough, I could make the starting lineup. But no matter how many hours I spent practicing after school, I often sat on the bench, watching my teammates play. Every day felt heavy. I struggled with feelings of not being good enough and often compared myself to others. It was frustrating to see my friends succeed while I felt stuck. My emotional state was like a roller coaster. Some days, I believed I could turn things around; other days, I just wanted to give up. I woke up every morning feeling a mix of hope and doubt, and I didn't understand how to change that. As I walked into the school gym for practice one afternoon, I could hear laughter and shouts of excitement from the other players. The place buzzed with energy, but my heart felt heavy as I took my position on the sidelines. Watching them, I felt a swell of disappointment. I wanted to feel strong and confident like them. Instead, I felt lost and unsure of my abilities. My mind echoed the doubts I had about myself, and little did I know that this feeling would soon become the catalyst for my transformation. I was at a turning point, just moments away from discovering a powerful mindset that would change my life forever. As days passed at soccer practice, I tried more and more to improve my skills. I wrote down drills to focus on passing and shooting, but even with a plan, I found it hard to concentrate. When coach asked us to work on our footwork, I could feel my thoughts drifting. My mind went back to the times I sat on the bench. Each distraction pulled me further from my goal. I often caught myself worrying about what my teammates thought of me. They were all so talented, and here I was, struggling to keep up. During each practice, my heart raced with nervous energy. I would watch players around me accomplish their goals and talk about upcoming games with excitement. I wanted to feel that thrill, but my own self-doubt was like a heavy weight inside my chest. Other players joked and laughed, but I felt invisible, lost in my world of worry. It seemed every time I worked hard, I still ended up feeling frustrated. One afternoon, I decided to try a deep work strategy one had read in a book from the library. I gathered my notes and water bottle and told myself, today will be different. I sat alone in the dusty gym corner, head full of dreams about becoming a great player. However, as soon as I placed my notebook on my lap and opened it, my thoughts wandered again. Instead of focusing on my drills, I thought about all the times I had failed on the field. Slowly, my energy and motivation began to drain away. I closed my notebook in despair, wishing I had the ability to concentrate like my friends. Feeling completely defeated, I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. Maybe I just don't have what it takes, I thought, and a wave of sadness washed over me. Just then, I heard a voice nearby. It was Ryan, one of the starters on the team. I hadn't noticed him watching me. He approached, his expression showing understanding. Hey, man, I've been there too. When I first started, I thought people would never take me seriously. His words struck a chord. Ryan shared his own past battles, telling me about the times he felt overwhelmed and frustrated. He had stumbled many times in his journey before becoming a starter. But what grabbed my attention was when he told me about a mentor he had, a coach who taught him about embracing failure rather than fearing it. He told me that every mistake is a chance to learn. It's about pushing through the doubts, Ryan said, looking right at me. In that moment, a small light flickered within me. I realized maybe my failures were not the end of my journey but the stepping stones I needed. Instead of giving in to sadness, I could choose to fight against the barriers my self-doubt created. Yes, I had tough days, but maybe there was still a chance for me to grow. Ryan was encouraging, and hearing his story ignited a spark inside me. I had found an ally, someone who believed in me even when I struggled to believe in myself. Ryan made me feel like I could change my mindset, that improvement was possible. He inspired me to keep pushing forward, even when faced with challenges. From that day on, I decided to embrace my struggles. It was time for me to acknowledge my doubts and transform them instead of letting them win. I realized at last that my journey was just beginning. With Ryan's support in mind, I approached my training with a fresh perspective. I wanted to take the lessons I had learned and apply them on the field. Each day, I told myself that improvement was possible, one step at a time. As I walked into practice one afternoon, I felt a different energy inside me. I knew I would face challenges, but something inside me was ready to fight. I decided to focus more on small tasks instead of overwhelming myself. At first, I set a simple goal: to stay focused for just 10 minutes during practice. As the session started, I concentrated on my passes during drills, letting go of the goal of being perfect. I remembered Ryan's words about learning from mistakes, which helped calm my nerves. I focused on how my foot hit the ball, the angle of my passes, and my movements. Those 10 minutes felt like a big victory, even when my passes didn't always connect. I could feel a small sense of accomplishment swelling in my chest, a feeling I had been missing for so long. Unfortunately, that small taste of success was soon met with reality. The next drill involved shooting under pressure, with the coach watching closely. The pressure was intense, and I could hear the other players cheer for each other. My heart beat faster as I prepared to take my shot. When it was my turn, I felt the hopes of my teammates resting on my shoulders. I aimed carefully at the net and kicked the ball, but it went far off the mark. Frustration washed over me. I let out a groan, my shoulders slumping in defeat. My small win from earlier felt far away in that moment. Even with my new mindset, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I pulled aside, hoping no one saw the disappointment on my face. I knew I could do better, but it seemed the fear of failing hovered over me like a dark cloud. Then Ryan approached again. "Hey, don't be too hard on yourself," he said gently, looking right at me. "Every time we miss the net, there's a lesson in it. Focus on what went wrong, not the failure itself." I appreciated his words. He reminded me that these moments were all part of the journey. Taking a breath, I decided to shift my perspective. I returned to practicing shooting, but this time, I told myself it was okay to miss. I paid attention to my posture, my knees, and where my eyes were looking. As more practice shots flew, I began connecting better, even scoring a few goals. It was not just about the score for me anymore, it became about understanding my movements and learning from each shot. Still, within each moment of progress came doubt. While my confidence grew a little, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was behind. During a scrimmage later that week, I felt solid for moments but struggled, especially when the coach asked us to play as a team. I often fell back into old habits of avoiding mistakes rather than being proactive. I still hesitated and second-guessed myself, worried about disappointing others. In those moments, I reminded myself that growth wouldn't happen overnight. Even if I felt stuck, I had started on a path. There was still a long road ahead, and I had to let go of the idea of immediate perfection. Each trial, no matter how hard, was part of my journey. Those small wins were like stepping stones, moving me towards something greater. As I reflected on my experiences, I promised myself to keep pushing through both the doubts and the challenges. I was learning to embrace the journey and grow one step at a time. The day of the big game arrived, and the entire town buzzed with excitement. I could feel the tension in the air as players warmed up on the field. My heart raced, filled with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. I had trained hard, but there was still a knot of fear tightly wound in my stomach. This game wasn't just a moment for me to shine, it was a chance for me to prove that I had changed, that I could rise above my old self. As I dressed in my uniform and felt the weight of the jersey on my shoulders, the self-doubt that had lingered just below the surface came creeping back. As the whistle blew to start the match, I gripped my determination tightly like a shield. I wanted to show my teammates what I could do. But early into the game, it became clear that this was not going to be easy. Right from the first minute, the opposing team played with a thrilling confidence that seemed to overshadow my self-assuredness. Intimidated, I struggled to find my rhythm. The pace of the game felt overwhelming, and the cheers of the crowd echoed in my ears, threatening to drown me in pressure and fear. Several plays passed quickly, and in one moment, I found myself near the opponent's goal. It was my chance. I received the ball, and for a second, everything around me faded away. I took a deep breath and prepared to make my move. Just as I stepped forward to shoot, everything I had learned rushed away with the wind of doubt. Did I really have what it took? Could I score against such strong players? My heart sank as I hesitated, and the shot that should have been decisive came out weak and redirected easily by the goalkeeper. The moment felt like a punch to my gut. My mind spun with thoughts of disappointment. Instantly, my old self returned, whispering harsh criticisms. "What are you doing? You're going to mess up again." Those nagging thoughts ate away at my confidence, causing me to pull back. I felt small and invisible again. Unlike before, I knew I had come so far, but here I was, facing a wall I couldn't scale. I started making mistakes. My passes flew into wrong spaces, and I failed to connect with my teammates, who were counting on me. With each passing minute, I felt my heart drop deeper. The more I struggled, the louder my doubts became. My mental state felt tumultuous, shifting from hope to hopelessness in seconds. The game was slipping away, and my self-belief seemed just out of reach. I could sense my teammates' frustration growing with my inconsistency. Their shouts echoed in my ears but only added to my sense of failure. I felt the pressure increasing in a way I had never experienced. Just when everything around me seemed chaotic and beyond my control, I remembered Brian's calming words, "Don't focus on the mistakes, learn from them." But even that encouragement felt distant. How could I believe in growth when I was at the very edge of despair? The battle within me intensified, and I had to decide whether I would give in or reach for that change I had fought to achieve. Then came the moment. Their forward broke past our defense and made a mad dash towards our goal. In a flash, I saw my teammates falter. I knew I had just one last chance to make a difference. Suddenly, an overwhelming force propelled me forward. Despite the torrent of fear and worry flooding my mind, I decided to push against the current. I sprinted, my heart pounding louder than the crowd, ready to redefine my story once and for all. As I sprinted towards the oncoming opponent, panic took hold of me. What if I failed again? What if I couldn't stop him? Each footstep felt heavy. The weight of the game pressed on my shoulders. The audience's cheers faded into a faint memory beneath the pounding of my heart as I arrived at the critical moment. In that split second, I hesitated. Doubts flooded my mind like a rushing tide, drowning out the confidence I had built. My early progress began to crumble under the pressure, and with it, any flicker of hope that I could make a difference. I felt the urge to step back, to shy away from the challenge before me. My old self seeped back in, whispering darkly that I wasn't enough, that I didn't belong. As I watched the player approach, propelled by unyielding energy, the roots of despair sank deep into my heart. I couldn't stop him. The fear of failure felt stronger than any will to fight. For a brief moment, I thought about turning away from the game altogether. What was the point of trying if I always ended up feeling like this? The desire to quit and abandon everything I had strived for crashed over me like a wave. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of Ryan on the sidelines. He had played his final game and come to cheer us on. His face was filled with encouragement, hanging in a mix of faith and belief. I remembered his journey, the trials he had faced and how he persevered against all odds. Suddenly, a spark ignited as flashes of my own journey blanketed my mind. I remembered my late-night practices, the feeling of accomplishment when I managed to pass the ball accurately, and even shooting my first goal. Those moments of progress seemed lost now, but they had helped shape me. Then, it happened. I recalled something my coach once said, "Every setback is a setup for a comeback." It was a simple phrase, but that day, those words exploded within me, as if uncovering buried treasure. In that instant, reality hit home. I didn't just want to win the game, I wanted to win over my self-doubts. I wanted to defeat the enemy within me. With newfound clarity, I shook off the cocoon of self-pity that threatened to engulf me. I realized I had already faced countless failures and found ways to keep going. Rather than looking at my past as a burden, I could see it as a teacher. Achieving meaningful growth would require resilience, not only in victory but also in failure. A gentle determination built within me, reminding me that challenges were part of the journey. As I quickly gathered my thoughts, the opposing player surged forward, but this time, something was different. I focused on what Ryan had said earlier: believe in yourself. I made a choice, a conscious decision to put that belief into action. I surged forward, positioning myself to block his path confidently. With renewed strength, I faced the challenge head-on. As the player approached, I channeled every lesson I had learned. It was no longer about the final score, it was about embracing this very moment. My heart raced, but this time it wasn't just out of fear, it was the thrill of possibility. I understood then that I was becoming stronger, not just as a player but as a person. I was ready to confront my doubts and embrace the growth that lay ahead. As the opposing player came barreling toward me, I felt my heart pounding in my chest. I took a deep breath and remembered everything Ryan and my coach had shared with me. I was not just Alex who hesitated and doubted himself. I was now Alex who could learn from mistakes, grow stronger through challenges, and bounce back from setbacks. This was my moment. With determination flooding my body, I focused my gaze on the ball at his feet. I leaned slightly forward, my muscles tense with energy, ready to make a move. The world around me faded into a blur as I centered all my attention. Every moment leading up to this had prepared me for this very instant, and I felt alive with newfound clarity. I was not going to back down. As he approached, I matched his speed. I could practically feel the energy radiating from both of us as we surged forward, the sound of the crowd echoing in my ears. I remembered the drills I had practiced, where to position myself and how to anticipate my opponent's next move. I knew I had to stay calm and focused, so I blocked out the noise. Still, my nerves danced in my stomach. Just when I thought I had shown all the confidence I could muster, the player made a quick feint to the left. In that split second, my old fears crept back in, whispering, "You can't do this." But rather than freeze, something inside me snapped to attention. I relied on all my training, recalling how perseverance meant navigating through the highs and lows. Instead of simply following him, I predicted where he would go next and shifted my weight to counter him. In one swift movement, I lunged for the ball. I put everything into that moment, a mix of excitement and determination coursed through me. My foot connected with the ball, gracefully outmaneuvering him. I could hear my teammates cheer as I reclaimed possession. It wasn't smooth, and I stumbled slightly, but I stood tall. What happened next surprised even me. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the challenge, I surged forward with the ball. The moment I got a taste of success, confidence filled my veins. I directed my focus forward, keeping a low center of gravity as I pressed ahead. Every inch felt like a small victory, one step away from collapse but a leap toward success. I spotted a teammate open on the far side. Pass him the ball. Did I dare trust my judgment now? The old fear flickered in my mind, warning me against taking the chance. What if I misplaced the pass again? But then I thought of the journey I had taken to reach this point. I had faced challenges, I would not let myself fall back into doubt. With resolve, I shifted my eyes to my teammate, and with all my strength, I made the pass. Time slowed as I released the ball, sending it gliding to him. The crowd erupted into cheers as it reached its destination. For that brief moment, I felt free. I was no longer just a player looking to prove myself, I became part of a team united by determination. Still, the game was not over, and with the victory in sight, I could feel the pressure creeping in to test my resolve again. The opposing team quickly regrouped, charging back to contest the play. I steadied myself and focused, reminding myself that I had come this far for a reason. Nothing meaningful comes without effort. I prepared for whatever lay ahead, knowing I must push forward with agility and resilience. In that instant, I transformed my fear into action, ready to face the next challenge head-on. No matter the outcome, I had solidified my commitment to growth, facing challenges with open arms. As the final whistle blew, I stood caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The loud cheers of the crowd bubbled around me, but my heart beat loudly in my chest, racing not only from the thrill of the game but also the whirlwind of everything I had just been through. We had won the match, securing our spot in the next round, but my victory was more than the score on the board. In that moment, I realized the battle had taken place deep within me. My eyes swept across the field, examining my teammates as they erupted in joyful celebration. I felt a part of that joy, but it was tempered by something deeper. I remembered how close I had come to giving up, how each moment of self-doubt fought against the determination I thought I had built. I looked down at my shaking hands, still feeling the rush of adrenaline pulsing through me. My heart swelled with a mix of pride and relief. Despite the fear that had tried to latch onto me, I was able to confront it head-on. As my teammates hugged one another and recapped intense moments of the game, a warm wave of gratitude rolled over me. Looking back, the best part of the match wasn't just the goal I scored, but rather how I had grown throughout the process. I remembered how easily doubt could have swallowed me whole, but I resisted. I had transformed those moments of frustration and fear into stepping stones, creating a path covered with lessons learned along the way. "Alex, that tackle was amazing," a teammate shouted, running over to pat my back. I smiled, feeling a sense of camaraderie that I hadn't truly grasped before. The victory wasn't mine alone, it was a team effort. "Thanks. I just did what I had to do," I replied, realizing that I had learned to trust not only in myself but in those around me. Once I made it back to the bench, I took a moment to breathe deeply. Closing my eyes, I reflected in silence on everything that led to this moment. There was something beautiful in that chaos, the pressure I felt, the struggle, and the eventual triumph. They were parts of myself I could embrace, not shy away from. Everything clicked as my memories cascaded across my mind. Every practice, every failure, every moment that could have discouraged me instead had given me strength. The old fears no longer held me captive. I felt a gratitude begin to replace my earlier inadequacies. I had realized that resilience wasn't merely about achieving goals, it was about finding a way to navigate through the obstacles, understanding that those moments were vital for growth. The victory on the field wasn't where my journey ended. Instead, it opened my eyes to what lay ahead, a continued pathway of challenges that demanded patience and commitment.